Hello. Every time a new block of yoga classes comes around, I intend to make a little video to explain a little bit about the approach to yoga that I offer. Never get around to it, but this time today I just decided, Mairead, sit down and do this. So many approaches to yoga available these days, and they're all good, they're all excellent, and it's lovely to see so much yoga available, but they do vary. And I think if you're signing up for a class, it's good to know where your teacher is coming from, where their training is, where they will put emphasis, and just what is their mindset around the yoga that they teach. So a little bit about my approach. I've trained in a few different systems, but my main training is in Vinyasa. And Vinyasa means the special application of yoga. Actually, it's often taught one-to-one, and the idea is really to apply the yoga in a way that suits the individual rather than kind of coach and persuade the individual into particular practices or into particular postures. But mostly I do group classes these days. I do a little bit of one-to-one, but mostly I do group classes. So I would have that in my mind, that I'm doing my best to offer at the level of the people in front of me. And if somebody in the class, due to chronic pain, due to some issue with mobility or recent injury or recent childbirth, recent surgery, that I can modify the practices so that they will get the best benefit from the practices for themselves without doing themselves any injury. But that's only one aspect of it. Another aspect of this yoga is that it would tend to be on the gentler end of the spectrum, in that we do fairly simple, straightforward movements. And that's not because we're lazy, but we have the breath in mind. And actually, we're really led by the breath. And there's a tendency, if you're going into difficult, complicated postures and contorting the body into shapes, well, you're surrounded by an invisible scaffolding, particularly if there's effort involved in getting into a posture. There can be an invisible scaffolding that prevents the breath from circulating. And we would prefer to do straightforward, fairly easy postures that open the body so the breath can get everywhere and that every cell in your body can enjoy the nourishment of the breath. So breath-led and moderate, I maybe shouldn't say simple postures, but moderate postures. And also we would have in mind levels of mobility, that we want to maintain levels of mobility, we want to maintain levels of strength and balance. So it's not that we're just sitting around being lazy, but the postures have very definite aims in mind regarding mobility, strength, balance. The other thing, what else was I going to say? Oh yes, the other thing is that working particularly if you're working with very challenging postures, sometimes, the attention all goes on the posture, just getting there, and can I get there and can I stay there? But working with fairly simple shapes, it's much easier to bring body, breath and mind together, that one is really present to what you're doing. And that kind of presence that we can cultivate through body, breath and mind working in harmony can bring about a lovely state, a very pleasant state. Sometimes it's called flow, and sometimes it's referred to as coherence, but it's a state where everything is very connected, where the body systems, the heart rhythm, the breathing, the digestion, everything is working nicely in these kind of interconnected rhythms. And that's a very pleasant state to be in, also a very nourishing state to be in. And it's very valuable to have access to practices that can bring you into that state. So yeah, I would have to say in my classes, I'm more interested in bringing people into that state of presence and state of flow, rather than achieving exotic postures. Yeah, that's probably all that I need to say. There's a lot more, but that's enough to start with. And the other thing I will say actually is that all of my classes at the moment are evening classes. So in an evening class, one is thinking of the nervous system coming down through the gears, that you're bringing the body, mind, and energy to settle. And you're thinking in terms of getting home and getting a good night's sleep. Now, morning practice will be completely different, where you might be bringing yourself up through the gears and wanting to have a clear mind to start the day. But in the evening time, we want to have settled energy and a very calm, settled mind, leading into a good night's rest. So if you're interested, I'm going to put all the details of 2 new classes starting this week. I'll put them somewhere below this video. And if you want to give me a call, I would be delighted to give you more information and have a chat about whether the classes will be useful for you. So thank you so much for watching.